All right. So, oh wait, I need to. There we go. Okay. Hi, my name is Caitlin Jackson, and this is my persuasive speech. So, it was my senior year, and during Hell Week, I was on the floor in a ball crying on the cold floor of the stage. I was exhausted and practically hysterical because of the week I had been through. And that was because I was practically, even though I was only in 3 performing arts classes, which is a lot of performing arts classes to begin with, I was practically doing the work of 5 plus. For many different reasons. And in addition, I was a leader in all of those performing arts classes. And so people would come to me and ask me for help with a dance or a section of the song or to lead something or to help build a set. I was their go-to person to come to, and I was exhausted. And I would be doing this constantly, but I couldn't say no because often there was no one else that people could go to. So I kept saying yes. I kept saying, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do this until I couldn't anymore. One day I could barely get out of bed. I was so exhausted that I got a stress cold and I was so sick that I couldn't get out of bed. So even though I couldn't say no, my body forced me to say no. And it was difficult at first. I was upset at myself, but I realized that it was good, that I was able to stop because it's what I needed. And so today, I would like to persuade you into saying no more often because it helps alleviate stress, create boundaries, and regulate aggressive behavior. So my first point is saying no can help alleviate stress. So in a study where there was an actor and this actor would do kindness and they asked or like do acts of kindness and they asked him, how are you? Do you feel better? There's a quote that says, experimental kindness literature suggests that performing acts of kindness improve the well-being of the actor by Curry 2018. So, well, yes, doing acts of kindness is very good for you and others and can make you feel good. Doing it way too often can like be detrimental. So in another study, it says, yes can also cause problems over time, outstretched resources, lower quality, and so on. So while yes is very good, especially improv, but yes can be good, but it can be a very bad thing when you are exhausted. An example is over quarantine, I was the person, again, where people would come to help or people would ask me for help all the time. And there was one time that I was like hysterical crying, but so I got a text and someone asked me for help and I still helped them. And I did not give the best advice because I was not in the right state of mind, but I still did. So this is an example of what not to do. But my second point is saying no is important for creating boundaries. So boundaries is how we create a safe and happy space for ourselves and others. And while this researcher, her name is Phillips, researched children, I think this still applies to us today. So, end quote, saying no is a way of establishing boundaries and separateness, making a space between wishes, thoughts, and actions. So we separate our actions or we separate our thoughts and what we want from what we're actually going to do, which is good. And an example of this is I get asked to sing in church a lot, which is good. I like doing it, but especially with finals week coming up and everything, I'm getting exhausted. And so I said, no, I can't do it this week. And then now my pastor decides to ask me about what I'm going to do this week and seeing if I can actually do it so I don't waste his time or mine, which is a good way. And as we set that boundary so that we could progress further. And so my third point is saying no can regulate aggressive behavior. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes aggression is actually just being overwhelmed or overstimulated. So this is a long quote, so bear with me. But so a quote from By providing reinforcement upon use of an appropriate verbal response rather than aggressive non-compliant behavior, we could begin to teach tolerance for delays to this reinforcement and increase compliance. Basically, that is a long way of saying, while we can put ourselves in a situation by saying yes, and then we can get aggressive or even passive aggressive, which sometimes that's worse. We can, rather than doing that creates more problems. We can take ourselves out of that situation by saying no, and then we could have it'll be a better time for everybody, including yourself. An example of this is at work. Sometimes I work at a boba place, and sometimes a lot of things need to be refilled, especially after a big rush, and we're all exhausted after that. So, but there's one time, especially when I'm working with my friends, where they'll ask me to refill something and I'll say no. And they'll be like, why? And I'll tell them because I'm already doing this. I was planning on doing this afterwards and I don't want to forget. And so then he's like, oh, okay, I'll go do that then after I do this. So we communicate and we create a good problems. And so instead of getting aggressive, I could say no or being upset and I could say no and then we fix the problem. So I again hope I persuaded you into saying no more often because it helps alleviate stress, creates boundaries, and can regulate aggressive behavior. And my call to action is say no. You could say no to me to saying no more often. That's okay, but you did say no. So, but if you're too overwhelmed, just say no. It's okay. And my final thought is in a world full of forced yeses, a good no can go a long way. Thank you.